Justice, joined here by the Boston City Council President Ed Flynn, and we are here today to discuss dockets 0929, 0933, 0935, and 0936, and 0937. The committee will hold the various public safety grant award by the Mass Executive Office of Public Safety and Mass Development of Mental Health today. Today's hearing, I'm going to give the breakdown. The docket 0929 is a message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend $4 million in the form of a grant for fiscal year 23 public safety answering point support and incentive grant awarded by the Mass Executive Office of Public Safety, administered by the Police Department. The grant will fund costs associated with providing enhanced 911 services. Docket 0933, docket 0933. Message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend the amount of $413,890 in the form of a grant for the fiscal year 23 state 911 training grant awarded by the Mass Executive Office of Public Safety and Security to be administered by the Boston Police Department. This grant will fund the training and certification of enhanced 911 telecommunications staff. Docket 0935, message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend the amount of $167,000 in the form of a grant for fiscal year 23 Crisis Intervention Team Training and Technical Assistance Center awarded by the Mass Department of Mental Health to be administered by the Police Department. The grant will fund the implementation and staffing of a CIT-TTAC through Boston Police Street Outreach Unit and Academy. Docket 0936, message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend a grant in the amount of $106,000, $575,000 in form of a grant for fiscal year 23 DMH co-response grant awarded by the Mass Department of Mental Health to be administered by the Boston Police Department. The grant will fund a full-time recovery coach, forensic peer specialist to assist BPD officers with hub meeting cycle citywide. Docket 0937, message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend the amount of $100,000 in the form of a grant for fiscal year 23 DMH training grant awarded by the Mass Department of Mental Health to be administered by the Police Department. The grant will fund overtime costs to backfill crisis intervention team training and other mental health training for officers. And all of these matters were sponsored by the Wu administration and referred to the committee back on August the 10th. And I know that we're joined here. We have a couple folks that my sheet is only identifying Jenna Savage, Deputy Director of Research and Development at BPD, and Christopher Markunis, Director of Quality Assurance Operations at BPD. And so we're also joined by, who else? Who am I missing? Deputy Soup.
Carmen Curry from the Operations Division.
Got it. Thank you, Carmen. So with that, I'll throw it right over to the administration to just identify, and we'll take them one at a time, starting at docket 0929. So whoever is best suited to address these dockets, you have the floor.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, councilors, ladies and gentlemen. The first docket is a 911 support grant in the amount of $4 million. It's an annual grant that's awarded to the city by the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, State 911 Department. That grant assists the city, more specifically the Operations Division of the Boston Police Department, with funding our ongoing technology upgrades, the support agreements for our computer-aided dispatch system, the CAD system, which is the backbone of the 911 response system in the city. It's also shared amongst the Boston Fire Department Fire Alarm Division and Boston EMS, their 911 call-taking operation, dispatch operation as well. These funds are also pivotal in allowing us to purchase equipment for the operators and the dispatchers up in the Operations Division and throughout EMS and fire alarms, such as ergonomic chairs, furniture and desk accessories for them to do their jobs. And it also backfills, or I should say subsidizes, some of the salaries up there for the employees. And it is an annual grant. It's based on call volume and population.
Okay. So if I may just take this opportunity to inject just a concern that this body has. We talked about a little bit through the budget process in terms of the number of 911 operators that you have, the burnout factor, the hours, the stress, all of those, sort of, I guess, the variables that go into that function. A very important, highly stressful job and environment, and they seem to be some of our lowest paid city employees.
Yes.
And I got, as chair, I got to be honest with you, in order for me to sort of move these forward, we got to talk about the schedule first. Mm-hmm. In good conscience, as the chair, I can't continue just to fund programs and departments when we haven't addressed. So can you just tell us what a 911 call operator, what is their schedule right now, and why don't they get weekends off ever? Yep. That's a problem for me. You're asking me right now to give you $4 million. I got to tell you, Chris, unless you're telling me that we're now going to go to a system that our Boston police have, and our Boston firefighters have, and our Boston EMS have, where as employees, mm-hmm. at least they get a weekend every so many weeks. Our 911 operators don't get weekends off.
I agree. I
have a huge problem allowing this to go forward. So please, someone on that side of the table, yep. Tell me when our 911 operators are going to get a weekend off.
Okay, so first of all, I wholeheartedly agree with you, Mr. Chair. This has been a problem in the making for many years. I will say that we just reached a settlement agreement, the City of Boston did, with the union and with the folks up in the 911 Operations Division. The Wu administration's been extremely supportive of this agreement. Part of that agreement is to move toward a 4-on, 2-day off schedule for the 911 operators and dispatchers up in the Operations Division of Boston Police. That will give them a rotating schedule similar to that of police officers. Currently, they're on a 5-day on, 2-day off fixed schedule, which you're absolutely right. Most of our junior employees do not get weekends off. They are scheduled for days like Tuesday and Wednesday, or Wednesday and Thursday is their fixed days off. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it's unconscionable. I think the job is too stressful to be working 5 days straight. It should be 4 days straight. As someone who's done the job previously, I totally concur with you. Myself, Deputy Superintendent Curry, and the other members of the administration have been fighting for this for several years now. I will say we've made substantial progress. We now have an agreement in place to not only move toward that schedule once we have the staffing available for that, but also give significant pay increases to those folks up there doing the job.
And what about additional staff? Because I know that they're currently overworked and understaffed.
Yep.
What are we doing to increase the staff levels? Like these grants here, how many more 911 operators are we putting on with these grants?
So we are currently short 22 911 operators, which is just, it's not sustainable. If we were fully staffed, we would have 62. That's what we're budgeted for. We have some severe constraints within the police department with the Human Resources Division, where we've been unable to get the hiring done as quick and as efficiently as we'd like. They're short-staffed as well, and we recognize, I mean, this is a huge issue. We need to continue to recruit in all different communities. The deputy and myself have done several career fairs in different communities and have been out there in the community trying to recruit people across the city to become 911 call takers and dispatchers.
With all due respect, it's real hard to recruit when they don't get weekends off. There's no quality of life
agree.
there. Hey, we'd love for you to join, but just want to let you know, until you work for 15 years, you're not going to get a full weekend off. So anyone that wants to be with their families on the weekend, or maybe take a vacation, or spend time with your child down at the ball field, this isn't the job for you. Is that in the job description? Because that's what the job is.
I agree. Yes. Yep.
So it's like we're chasing our tail. Like we're understaffed. The pay isn't significant. Yep. They're overworked. Oh, by the way, and on top of all of that great news, you don't get weekends off.
Yep.
So so please tell me that problem's fixed. It seems like we're making progress, but
yeah.
Again, sending this grant for $4 million, and folks don't have weekends off.
Well, we're moving in that direction.
What's been the impasse? Who's standing in the way of, no, this is not a good idea. We do not want our 911 operators to have weekends off, but we want to bargain these other issues. But that's not an important issue. Who on that side of the table? I would like to meet that person that doesn't think that it's appropriate or a quality of life issue for a city employee who's doing phenomenal work.
Yep.
And not even to mention the operator that we had that actually stayed on the phone.
Yep.
And they found a guy in between a wall over at the Back Bay train station.
Absolutely.
That call drops or the operator hangs up on that call.
Yep.
Probably don't find that individual until they renovate that station, who knows, 50 years from now.
Yep, exactly.
But I mean, they're doing like miracle work, right?
I agree.
And they're under real tough conditions. We should be rolling out the red carpet to make sure that that is properly funded, properly set. It's a critical function for our city.
Yep, I agree 100%.
And we seem to be ignoring them.
I can tell you they're not being ignored by myself and the deputy superintendent.
Yeah, and that's, make this perfectly clear. I know the folks that are in front of me have been staunch advocates for the men and women that are working alongside of you and underneath you and around you. It's the frustration that I'm having is that we know the great work that they do. They're highly trained. They're no one's ducking over there.
Nope.
They're constantly showing up because of their passion and their love and commitment to our city, and also for their passion for helping people. It's now our turn to help them and give them
Agreed.
a quality of life and some support staff and some pay that will keep the position competitive, because we're losing. Let me just ask you, how many folks have left the job?
57. since
57
2020.
people have left the job. Do we do exit interviews?
We do some exit interviews.
And
yes.
of the 57,
Work-life balance and pay.
there you go.
And stress.
So
Those are
we
the
need
top
to,
three
so
reasons.
we collectively need to solve that problem.
Yes.
And we saw something in the paper the other day where they had to waive the residency requirement. We don't
Correct.
have to waive the residency requirement. We have to address these underlying issues so that these positions are attractive and competitive, so that we don't lose bright, talented, committed, dedicated, passionate people to other 911. That's probably where they go. Of the 57 people that left, Deputy Superintendent, did they go to sort of other similar type of positions? They didn't just go and they didn't go become a lawyer. They didn't go run for city council, right?
Some of them did.
Yeah. Where they felt that they were appreciated and they got a weekend off and they may get a little bit more pay. And I mean, I think it's a calling, it's a passion, it's a commitment. It's sort of a niche thing. You either want to be in that situation, 911, you call, and then on the other end of the phone, you don't know what that next call is going to bring. That's a special person.
Special person.
And that's a special
skill
person we
set.
need to be supporting, and it seems like we as a city have been kind of neglecting, that employee. All unsung heroes that do, they play a role just like our police officers, just like our firefighters, just like our EMS, but they're an integral part of public safety in our city, and I just seem to think that they've been sort of, I don't know if the word's ignored or, if there's
I agree
a
with
union collective bargaining thing, so I guess here's the update. How do we as a council help you guys make this, highly competitive environment where we're, one, appreciating and respecting the work that they do for the city, and two, we're listening to their concerns around pay and additional support staff, and of course, that balance that you just mentioned between work and family life. So that's my 2 cents. I don't know if Council President wants to add into how we feel that our 911 operators have been treated.
Thank you, Council Flaherty, and thank you to the administration team, Deputy Superintendent, for being here and the important work that you're doing and your team is doing as well. We appreciate your hard work. We appreciate your professionalism along with the team that you work with. I would echo what my colleague, the chair of the Public Safety Committee, has mentioned, and that is making sure that our 911 operators are treated fairly. And I won't go into the same level of details that the chair has mentioned, but I strongly support him 100%. And Councilor Flaherty is doing this based on his years of experience working on this issue, and we know we can't run a city effectively and manage public safety operations effectively if we don't have a good 911 presence in Boston. So, wanted to again highlight the work of Councilor Flaherty. Can you tell me the starting pay of a 911 operator?
So presently, today, as we sit here, it's $41,000 a year is the annual salary. We just negotiated a settlement agreement with SEIU Local 888, which is the union representing those folks. Their starting pay will go up closer to $60,000.
41 to 60 for step
Correct.
by? Okay,
Yeah, 3 pay grades.
yeah. And how many hours a week do they work?
Generally, they're 40 hours, and then with overtime, particularly now, with the staffing shortages, there's been an unsustainable amount of mandated overtime for these folks, and they're commonly working 16 hours a day. It's unsustainable.
They're working 16 hours a day,
Correct.
5 days a week?
Some of them 4 or 5 days a week. Generally, the average is probably 3 days a week.
So in theory, you could be working 16 hours a day, 5 days a week. So you're going home after a 16-hour period, you're sleeping for 6 hours, you're getting up, you're getting changed and showered, and then you're going right to work.
Correct.
Without any time with your spouse, with any time with your children. Unconscionable,
I agree.
unconscionable. I did that when I was in the military. But this should not be the case in the civilian community. It's a recipe for burnout.
Yes.
It's a recipe for stress and problems at home as well.
Yep.
Divorce or other issues. What are we seeing on mental health counseling from your team?
So we do have a peer support program that is in existence now for our staff. We do need to expand that more. There's probably some need for some funding for that. We're in the process of, the deputy superintendent has been working on a quiet room up there where the operators and the dispatchers can go and sort of relax and kind of digest after a long call or something, a stressful event. That's become sort of the new normal standard across the country for 911 centers. And then we're also working with the city's employee assistance program and with other folks in the department to make sure that folks get the counseling or help that they need. Because it is, as you said, it's a stressful job. There's a lot of vicarious trauma or secondary trauma that's associated with the work they do. And it's now being recognized across the country professionally as an issue.
So if you work your shift, your 8-hour shift, and maybe you have to do something that you planned with your spouse or your child, you have to take your kid to his after-school, her after-school program at 7 o'clock at night, and you tell your supervisor, I'm not going to be able to work that double shift tonight. I have to do something with my family. What is the response from the supervisor?
Well, generally, they're told, if they're mandated to be there because we're short of staffing, they have to stay. The department's been pretty lenient as far as we haven't been disciplining folks. If they do have an obligation, they need to leave, and we try to fill the shift as best as we can. We run short sometimes, unfortunately, more than we'd like to.
So when you run short, what impact does that have on calls coming in? Aren't you adding more stress to the current person that's working there than
Yes.
that person is handling even more calls coming in?
Correct, yes. And it also adds to the wait time for folks trying to call 911, particularly if it's a busy weekend or something going on in the city. It's become very challenging to staff the shifts, particularly on holiday weekends, busy weekends, and adequately staff them for the volume that we presently receive in the city.
And that's definitely the time when you do need
Yes.
need them on the weekends and on holidays.
Holidays, yep.
Well, I guess my final question is on this, is if we approve this, and I know Council Flaherty will follow this closely, if we approve this, is this issue over? Is it dealt with? Then everyone works 40 hours a week, no double shifts, and then we have an operation that's running smoothly and effectively, or do we still have more problems?
No, we still have issues to deal with. The big step forward is the settlement agreement that was just agreed to with the union and the administration. That's going to go a long way to hopefully attracting folks back to this job and to this service, and also retaining folks. Scheduling is addressed in there, pay is addressed in there, shift differential for working nights overnights is addressed in there. There are other issues up there that need to be dealt with, both structurally, there was, the department commissioned a report back, was it 2020 or 2021, that outlined a lot of the issues in the operations division and put a blueprint forward for what the city needs to do in order to have a modern 911 center. And we're working off that report and the recommendations in that report to move things forward.
Should residents be concerned that the waiting time for a response is increasing?
Concerned, yes. I would say that we got by through the summer by the skin of our teeth, literally. Luckily, we're moving into the cooler fall months, and call volume tends to decrease going into the winter.
The increase, though, is significant during the summertime.
Correct.
That's a concern for me. We have a new neighborhood, obviously the South Boston waterfront.
Yep.
I understand that a lot of the response time has been significantly increased over the summer. And then as businesses are coming back to the city and the city is opening up, the level of traffic on the streets as well. Okay, then my final question, I apologize. Your 911 operators, how many speak various languages?
So we have, do we have the breakdown of languages? We have a significant proportion of them that speak Spanish. We also have a fair amount that speak Haitian Creole. We did have one that spoke Mandarin that since left the service. And that's the majority of the languages that are spoken presently up
So
there.
you don't, so you don't have anyone that speaks Cantonese?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
You don't have anyone that speaks Vietnamese?
Vietnamese, no.
So let me just highlight, and I think you know this as well, but just for the audience, for their knowledge, Boston has a large Cantonese speaking community in Chinatown, which I represent, the South End, the Bay Village, Chinatown. They have a Chinese community in Alston and Brighton. We also have a large Vietnamese community, as you know, in Dorchester. Many of the Cantonese-speaking people don't speak any English at all.
Right.
Many of them are seniors. I know because I represent them. I have 3 women on my staff, and they speak Cantonese fluently. So I'm receiving calls all over the city. So how does an elderly person and we saw a rise of hate crimes against the Asian community, against seniors especially, women, elderly women. So they call the police. They can't speak the language. The operator can't speak Cantonese. What is our solution? I know we can call this number and try to figure something out, but that's a big time wait as well. And there's a lot of logistic challenges, as you know, as it relates to that system. So why can't we, are we trying to hire people that speak other languages?
Yes. As a matter of fact, this new settlement agreement that we just executed does have a language incentive bonus for folks that speak a language other than English. We are always looking to hire folks that speak more than one language, particularly language other than English, and expand the diversity of the languages offered in-house, as opposed to utilizing that interpreter service that you referred to, which, while good, is cumbersome. It does take some time to get somebody on the phone. It could, take up to a minute or two to get somebody on the phone for the correct language. And I know the deputy superintendent did a job fair in Chinatown. Yes, it was a job fair in Chinatown done, was it last year? To recruit folks over in that community to take these jobs as 911 call takers and dispatchers. We're hoping with an eventual change in schedule and some upgrades to the pay that may help recruit folks. We're always looking to expand our diversity up there and the diversity of languages spoken in the center.
No, thank you. Thank you, Superintendent. And if, I'd like for us to do another job fair in Chinatown. I can certainly help, my staff can help.
That'd be great.
But I think we need to make it a priority to have at least one person on the team that speaks Cantonese and one person on the team that speaks Vietnamese. Councilor Flaherty has a very good relationship with both the Cantonese speaking community, the Chinese, but also especially with the Vietnamese community too. And we know that, we want to make sure our constituents have fair access, equal access as anyone else. And that's my goal as a district councilor, and it's Council Flaherty's goal as well. So, again, thank you. I'm willing to work with you on the job fair.
Okay,
And,
appreciate that.
yeah.
And so, thank you, Mr. President, so that we're clear here. We're all on the same team here, right? We all recognize that this is a serious issue.
Yes.
And that we need to solve it. What we need to do, in partnership with the mayor, is we need to get in the room real soon before the next budget cycle, and you folks need to tell us what you need in the budget.
Okay.
Bells and whistles.
Yep.
This is unacceptable.
Yep.
We
I
all
agree.
know that this is unacceptable. Just hearing the facts and hearing the testimony, I know that the mayor would probably also be embarrassed here. I'm not quite sure why the message and the needs and the demands of the 911 folks have not been met to date, but we sat through a budget process where some of our colleagues were taking big whacks at the police budget. That money should have went here. So I don't even know how the asks work over BPD, right, in terms of what the channels are and chain of command is, because the resources aren't reaching the 911 operator. That stops today. So before I even entertain any police budget, first thing I want to hear is, what do we, 911 first. We're going to start with 911, and then we're going to go to the different units and divisions and stuff like that. It doesn't seem like the resources are trickling down to the time that the person makes the call. 911, your call's being recorded.
Right.
How can I help you?
Right.
Those folks are getting crumbs.
Yep.
$41,000 a year, 16-hour shifts, no weekends off. Who in their right mind wants that job? That wants to maintain a balance of family and relationship and
Correct, yep.
And so, again, not to belabor the point, this is a problem. It's a problem for me. It's obviously a problem for folks that work over there. It's you guys
Absolutely.
have a front row seat for it. So we need to be proactive. The next budget cycle, if I don't see significant increases in staffing, pay, schedule improvements in the scheduling, in good faith and conscience, I can't be doing this, but I don't know if I could support a budget that doesn't support its people, and its people are our 911 operators.
I can tell you, as long as I'm there, and as long as Deputy Superintendent Curry is there, you will see that. We will advocate for that. We've been advocating tirelessly for these folks up there, and it's been a long year or two. There were other bottlenecks administratively in the department that we've hit, but
Now, this needs to happen. And then just to Deputy Superintendent, the folks that if they have a difficult shift, they can go into a quiet room, or is there unlimited resources, or are they capped at like so many hours of, I guess on the mental health side? So if you have a 911 operator that had gone through a traumatic call, they clearly have an opportunity to go into the quiet room while they're on shift, just to kind of
Absolutely.
debrief and stuff. And then what type of additional support is afforded for that operator? And are they limited in terms of 3 hours a week, or 5 hours a month, or 10 hours in a calendar year? What are the parameters on that?
We don't have any limitations
Okay.
right now. Is whatever they need to make sure that we
Great.
ensure their mental health is how we look at it.
And contractually, so they're represented, so the employees are represented by a specific union,
correct.
and contractually, are they precluded like the police department? What if they all just decided to walk out one day? Is that even possible?
No, I think it's against the law. I
Right.
mean, nothing's impossible.
Right. Or if 4 or 5 operators or 6 operators, 7 operators come down, with
Yeah.
a serious case of COVID, or they become long haulers,
Yeah.
like where,
We've had some folks that have been long haulers, and we did have some staffing challenges during the COVID pandemic, during the height of the COVID pandemic in 2020, and I think that's one reason why we did lose some folks, just due to the long hours, due to the fact that everybody else was working from home and in police headquarters, with the exception of the sworn staff, and for the most part, the only civilian staff that reported to work were the 911 operators and dispatchers.
Because they're committed, they're dedicated, they're
Correct.
passionate. It's all the qualities that you want in a city
Exactly.
employee they possess, and we're not respecting them. And then, so the optimum, if you could have the optimum level of 911 operators, what's that number?
I mean, I think that looking at the report and some of the studies we've done, right now we're budgeted for 62 911 call takers. If we were fully staffed, we probably need more in the vicinity of 70 to 74. That would allow us to staff the shifts appropriately, to do a rotating schedule, a 4-on, 2-day-off schedule.
Yep.
It would also allow us to do things like wellness, pull somebody off the floor after a tough call, and let them talk to somebody, a peer or a clinician, do some training on the spot, do some quality assurance, things of that nature that would really help bring the place to where it needs to be for the 21st century in a
And
city
then
our size.
nationally, what's the average pay nationally for?
It's quite low. We just completed a study looking at some of the salary numbers across the country, and it's not, we were about average, believe it or not, even though I think our salaries were quite low, particularly with the cost of living here in Boston. But the field has been, sort of characterized as clerical in nature for many years, which clearly it's not, and it's a joke to try to characterize it as such. So it's started to be recognized nationally as more of a first responder job, and recognizing these folks as actual true first responders, because they are the first person on the line with somebody in crisis, and the dispatchers are the first ones on the line of duty with the officers out in the street, firefighters and so forth.
That may be, so on the incentive side of the house, that may be something Council President and I can talk to the administration with, that maybe the time has come to put the 911 operators into the Group 4 retirement system as an equal partner in public safety.
I agree.
Like police, like fire. I led the effort
Yep.
to get EMS.
They're Group 1 today.
Yep. I led the effort to get EMS into Group 4, myself and my former colleague, Council Michael Ross, but the time may have come to take a look at. So from what I'm asking for, I guess, is if we could have, I guess, that list of, particularly reflected in the next budget cycle of, say 70, 75 911 call operators. We legislatively have the ability potentially to, again, working with the administration and our counterparts up at Beacon Hill, to get our 911 operators Group 4, which would obviously would incentivize a number of fronts. It would incentivize those there that have been there
Correct.
to stay. It will encourage others to join, and also
Correct.
to get the linguistic and the diversity that we need in the department. So that could be
Exactly.
maybe an opportunity here that this body could lead the effort, working with our mayor and folks up at Beacon Hill to make that happen. Time may have come that may be one of the solutions here.
Yeah, it's long overdue. Group 1 is not adequate
so-
for these folks.
So again, I appreciate it, and I know we opined a little bit back and forth, but I recognize the time and the talent that's here. I know that you guys do a phenomenal job. I know that you care about the people that are working alongside of you and around you and underneath you over there. It's just that this is an opportunity to elevate, I think, a lot of those issues. And
We
if
appreciate it.
we're going to be advancing a grant or several grants, and not talking about, I guess, the elephant in the room, if you will, the conditions that currently exist for our 911 call takers. And not sure whether this is a union issue or whether it's a sort of the step increase thing, but if we're to bump the salary from, say, 41 grand to another number makes us more competitive, what, if any, implications will that have in that whole step program? If anything, I don't know how any of those things work out, but I would leave that up to maybe you folks to sort of figure out with the respective bargaining units as to how you can take someone that's making 41 grand and bump them to a significant pay raise,
Right.
and then, I guess, bypass those steps, but then I guess start the steps over again. I don't know how that works, but.
Yeah, and I think those details are still being worked out with Labor Council right now.
Okay. Right, if there's any way you can let them know that
Absolutely.
we're desirous, I think, to have our 911 call takers respected and appreciated for the phenomenal work that they do day in and day out, the long hours that they're working, the conditions they're working under, the stress, the mental, all those factors that go in there, and yet to know that we have, they've stayed there because they're committed to our city.
Correct.
And this isn't like, oh, let's do away with the residency requirement, let's find someone from Millis and Milford and Hanover. No, we don't need to do that. We just need to look at the positions and the vacancies, and we need to ask ourselves, all right, is it a pay issue? Is it a scheduling issue? How do we work around, work the corners there to make it a desirable or attractive position so that a resident of the city, would put their name forward for consideration, so. That said, we're gonna shift to docket 0933. Whoever wants to talk about that one.
So this is a annual grant also that's awarded by the Executive Office of Public Safety, State 911 Department. It is a training grant. This grant goes for the state-required training for all of our 911 operators and police dispatchers. It also is shared with the Boston EMS for their call center and dispatch center, and Boston Fire Alarm for the folks that work over there and answer the fire calls and dispatch Boston fire responses. The grant funds the required 16 hours of continuing education per year for everybody that's certified. It also funds the certification of new employees when we onboard them. It helps with paying any overtime costs associated with folks to fill shifts when they go to training, because they're usually generally out of the office for 8 or 16 hours for that training. So it does help defray those costs from the city budget. It's an important piece of the operation up there. Training is one of the most important things we do. And with the staffing shortages, right now we basically just do the bare minimum, but we need to continue to increase the staffing for our folks and make sure they're getting staff training on well-being, on dealing with emotionally distraught persons on the telephone, and other types of emergencies, mental health crises, and things of that nature that we're dealing with on a citywide basis. So this grant goes a long way to helping us with that.
And obviously, in what we had talked about in the earlier testimony, in the next submission, if you could also increase, the request for funds for the annual budget in the training sector. Couldn't agree with you more that
Yep.
training is an important piece of this on many different levels, but this grant only goes so far.
Right.
Clearly, it seems like you guys are relying a lot on these grants.
Correct.
God forbid these grants ever dry up or
Right.
or we miss out on an opportunity or someone doesn't file something or it goes to another city. But these grants are great, but we need to supplement them with, with the city budget. That's very helpful. Any questions on this grant, Mr. President, on the training?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. What is the actual name of the certification someone would receive from this training? Are they certified under?
Yes.
What is that called?
So they're certified as a public safety telecommunicator in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Anybody that answers a 911 call in the Commonwealth must be certified as a public safety telecommunicator. Anybody that's brand new, when we hire them, must undergo a 16 hours of training on the telephone system. It's a computerized telephone system that for answering the 911 calls, and text messages, because we do also receive text to 911 now. All of that is in the 16-hour equipment training, and then they also are required by state law to attend an additional 40-hour. It's a week-long class. It's a basic public safety telecommunications course, which gives them an overview of the field in general, crisis handling techniques, call handling techniques, how to dispatch appropriate responses and things of that nature. That's the minimum requirements from the Commonwealth to be certified as a public safety telecommunicator.
With advanced technology that you have in place for these operators, are any of the operators working that haven't received the training on the advanced technology?
No.
They're all retrained.
They're required
Okay.
to, yeah.
Okay, that's good. So someone texting into 311, an emergency, just for the public, explain the process, what happens, and how does the person requesting it get a first
Text
responder?
into 911?
Yeah, into 911.
So it's essentially just opening up your text app on like an Apple iPhone or any type of device, and instead of putting in the person's name or telephone number that you're going to send a text message to, you enter in 911. And you type the message you want to send, you need help, you're at this location, hit send, and it's very similar to a chat session. It shows up and rings in the Operations Division of Boston Police Department. One of the call takers up there will answer that session and will converse back and forth in a chat room format with the texter. go back and ask further questions pertaining to the emergency they're reporting or anything that needs clarification. The text service became available back in 2018, and it's very helpful right now for folks, number one, that can't speak, or because of, and it could be either because of a handicap or it could be because of a public safety emergency where it's unsafe for them to speak, domestic violence, somebody held hostage, and it has helped a lot since that service became available. It's a great addition to the 911 system.
That's good to know. Thank you. I do a lot of work on domestic violence, especially in communities of color, and that was one of the main concerns is language and communication access.
Yep.
So maybe this helps in a way. Could I ask that we promote this option, whether it's through some public awareness campaign
Sure.
or through various channels? Would it
Yep.
be great for the public to know that they're able to text 911 with an emergency?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
And maybe also doing a little bit of public outreach to our immigrant communities as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Chris, on that note, because as 311 in our city is becoming more popular, do folks call 311 for emergencies, and then
They
how
do.
does that work? So they call 311 and there's someone in this building takes the call, and then they want to
Correct.
immediately click over and tie in with you
Yeah.
guys? How's that work?
They'll generally just transfer the call right over to a 911 operator, BPD headquarters. Occasionally, actually quite frequently, folks will call 311 or use the app. I see the calls on the app myself sometimes, somebody reporting an emergency. Sometimes it's an emergency and it really needs to be called in. The best thing to do is call 911 for an emergency. Some of them are, I think folks are trying to do the right thing by not tying up 911 and they're reporting a loud party or a stereo that's too loud or something like that. It's still better to call 911. You're going to get better service. Put the call in the system so we can get the appropriate response out there.
So have we seen the 311 types of calls increasing and then shifting over to 911 over the last few years as it's becoming more popular with
Yes,
groups?
correct. Especially in the hot summer months where we get
Yeah.
a lot of neighborhood type
People
issues.
say, hey, I don't want to tie up, the police with a
Exactly.
911 call, so I'm going to call 311.
Correct.
And it seems to be an emergency, then they shift it over. And then,
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
That's interesting. And then the 311 calls are not recorded, the 911 calls are recorded.
They're all recorded, correct.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Very good. That training is critical. So along with the 911, the texting, and then obviously there's a role with 311 as well.
Exactly.
So perfect. Very good. We're going to shift to docket 0935.
Hi, I'm Jenna Savage,
Hi,
Deputy
Jenna.
Director.
Welcome back.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Mr. President. Is it okay if I just do all three
Sure.
since
Yes,
they're all
that'd be
related?
great. So I'm going to read in docket 0935, docket 0936, and docket 0937.
Correct. These are all three grants from the Mass Department of Mental Health. They're all kind of interrelated. The first one, docket 935, is for our CIT TTAC grant. What that means is that last year, with our first year of this grant, we developed our own Boston-based crisis intervention team mental health training. It's a 40-hour training for officers on recognizing mental illness, de-escalating resources in the community. And previously, before we got this grant, we were sending our officers to 40-hour trainings in other places, namely Brookline, Somerville. But then they were learning about resources that are available in Brookline and Somerville. So we knew it was really important, especially because there's just so much happening in here in Boston, to develop our own training that still has the core 40 hours of the major tenets of CIT, but also incorporates our Boston-based partners, special specific rules, procedures, our street outreach unit. This whole thing falls under our street outreach unit, which is led by Lieutenant Peter Messina. So last year we put on our first 2 trainings, and we'll be hoping to do at least 4 per year. And so this grant is what basically makes that possible. We're hiring a full-time CIT training coordinator who will be a civilian, who will do all, because the amount of coordination that goes into bringing in 40 hours worth of trainers and actors, but it was a huge success. So really looking forward to just getting it more and more refined. So this is going to hire that, and obviously the supplies, equipment needed, overtime for officers who are doing the training. And then that ties into docket 937, which is training backfill. That's what enables the officers to attend these trainings. They're out of pocket then for 40 hours. So the backfill, the training grant allows officers to go get the CIT training, as well as other trainings. Anything that kind of comes up is a great support for that. And then the docket 936, which is the co-response grant. It is called that because we originally used this grant to hire our co-response clinicians through BEST. But then starting in around 2017, when City Council, we basically ended up putting the operating budget funds towards our best clinicians, which we now have enough for 15 of them, we didn't want to keep, as you said yourself, Mr. Chair, grants can expire, grants can run out, you can't rely on them, and having these mental health clinicians seemed too important to be grant funded. So now that we've got this big pocket of money through the operating budget, we decided to, DMH was kind enough to let us kind of rework this grant. And so now we're able to hire, and we're actually, I think, in interviews now, a full-time peer specialist / recovery coach. So someone who has lived experience both with mental health and is themselves in recovery, and can help people kind of go through that criminal justice process. They're obviously more compassionate. They understand what the person's going through. And this person will play a huge role at our various hub tables. So we have hub tables now, I think 5 of them that are up and running, which just in a nutshell identify people who are at imminent risk of some kind of harm or, some kind of crisis. And it can be various types. It needs to actually be various type of things. But the recovery coach at the hub table plays a huge role in helping someone get into recovery if that is one of their issues. And so we're really excited to get a full-time recovery coach and peer specialist who will be able to help with all these hub tables and then also just provide follow-up or anything as needed throughout the city of Boston.
Great. And thank you very much, Jenna. And so just for our edification, also for those watching at home, like a 911 call comes in, and can you maybe just sort of take us through a potential situation that would require a crisis intervention team person or that forensic peer specialist? Like, what would 1 or 2 of those calls look like? 911, your call's being recorded, and then they say what, that then triggers what, and then who? Can you just walk us through one?
It's interesting. So we don't do a formal crisis intervention team in that in other cities, what it might look like is you actually have the team. You have a team of officers, and they're the ones who respond to mental health calls. So we don't have a crisis intervention team per se. We just have our officers go through the training. And so far we've had over 150 officers who are CIT trained. And obviously our goal is just to get, it's supposed to be voluntary, but we're going to try and get as many officers trained as possible. It's beneficial to everyone. So we don't identify officers who have been CIT trained. So they're not specifically sent out to these calls. I think that's probably more of a union issue. We're just trying to get as many officers trained as possible.
And how long is the training again, Jenna?
40 hours, so it's basically
So is there an
1 week.
opportunity to have that be part of our academy training?
So the academy is also, the CIT training, the academy is also involved.
Got it.
CIT in its nature is meant for people who've had some experience on the street.
Okay.
But we do provide quite a bit of mental health training for officers who are new recruits. And then ideally, if you've at least been on for a year or 2, because if you haven't seen these things, I don't think you're really going to appreciate it until you've understood the usefulness of these tools. But we have had people who have only been a year or 2 in who have attended, and it's still very helpful. But even veteran officers get a ton out of it. But what we do have are, we try to make an effort to make sure that CIT trained officers are paired with our best clinicians, because that just makes the most sense. And then we actually just recently implemented a dispatch protocol through operations where now, we have these best clinicians who are throughout the city in different districts. But when EDP calls come in, that are EDP, emotionally disturbed persons, if it's a level 2, that means both police and EMS respond. It means there's some risk of harm to self or others. In the past, there was really no routine to how an EDP call would just come in and it would go out on the radio, and if the dispatcher happened to think of it, they would maybe call out for a co-responder. But we've just routinized that with a dispatch protocol that says if an EDP 2 call comes out during the first half or day shift, which is when which is the only time we have our clinicians working, dispatchers will now know to call out for a co-response team, which we're actually looking into. We're evaluating the effectiveness of that, but just to make sure we're using our clinicians as best we can. And again, they're ideally partnered with CIT trained officers, because it's voluntary that they're riding with the clinicians. That means they're interested. So we just want to kind of capitalize on that.
That's great. Council President, any questions on this?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any questions. Just wanted to highlight the important role your team plays in making sure that we are accessible, we are available. Myself and Council Flaherty want to make sure that you have all the necessary resources, funds, training, and as the chair mentioned, the budget debate is a critical part of it. And we would really like to know if you are satisfied with the recommended request you're getting from the mayor's office so that you can do your job effectively. I think it's important for us to invest more resources, funding, and support into the 911 system so that we can have a state-of-the-art, the most professional service that we possibly can. I guess my final question, when you're preparing and looking at your entire system, do you also receive any, do you look at other cities as well to see what they're doing well, what challenges they have, what points you can take from them? Are you comparing notes with any other, especially major cities across the country?
Yes, we do frequently. The question was to me, I'm assuming, yes, 911-wise, yes, we do. We're continually monitoring and speaking to directors in other cities, major cities across the country, to find out what they do that works, what's helpful, where the pitfalls lie, and particularly as it relates to mental health. Jenna and her team have been gracious enough to invite us to some forums on mental health in other cities and how it relates to 911 and what they're doing that works there as far as expediting a response for mental health related crises. And it's been very helpful in attending those forums. We are always in contact with our peers in other cities, yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good policy to do that, because it's good to compare notes and talk to each other, and you learn from each other, and lessons learned, especially major cities, Chicago or New York or Los Angeles, but I'm sure they can also learn a lot from what you guys are doing well here too. So I just want to say thank you to this administration team for being here and for the professional work that you are doing, and those that work with you are doing as well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I obviously concur with that. Help us help you, and help our 911 operators so that they have the resources they need, the training they need on the crisis intervention.
Can I add something?
Sure.
And just in terms of helping you help us,
Yep.
since I have your ear and I'm going to take advantage of it. As far as our budget goes, we can always use more clinicians. So as far as just priorities go, we have enough funding for 15. A couple of those are technically supervisor positions because they have to be supervised, but we still currently have no clinicians on the overnight. And the weekends tend to be covered, but there's still gaps, even our specialized units. So there's always a need for more clinicians. So instead of level funding, or at least level funding, it would be great if we could get more for that. And I would also make the case for our street outreach unit, which I mentioned earlier, which is an incredible unit of only, I think, about 10 officers at most that do homelessness, mental health, and substance use. They're all over the Mass and Cass. They're carrying a huge load for the city of Boston and doing incredible work, and currently don't have a permanent office space. They got kicked out of headquarters. They're kind of borrowing office space, and we're also having to rent space for these CIT trainings. Academy can't host them, and
Where are they currently housed? Where is the street outreach unit now?
they were at 1010 Mass Ave in like a basement, and now I think they're at maybe an old properties at the Hotel Buckminster that's being donated, but that's getting taken up. I think that's a temporary fix. So they're still looking for a permanent home, and in an ideal world, it would be a permanent home where we are very proud of the CIT training. We think this is going to be a huge feather in our cap that people are going to come to Boston for. An ideal world would be an office space for the street outreach unit that includes a conference room that could host the training. I mean, I think we could really be a major hub for mental health, but then we could also, at that office space, house our best clinicians, at least the ones that are assigned to the street outreach unit, house, peer specialists. Like we could really, EMS, maybe even like the, why am I blanking out on the EMS team that's,
Best?
Oh, Squad 80?
Squad 80.
Squad 80.
We could really have better collaboration if we had a home.
Has there been any discussion with over our fire headquarters at Southampton Street? Is there any capacity over there to?
I do not know.
Okay. It might be worth a conversation. Okay. Very good. Well, thank you, Deputy Superintendent Carmen Curry, obviously Chris Markounis and Jenna Savage. We appreciate your time and attention to this, and I'll get a committee report turned around and have it put before the council with respect to docket 0929, 0933, 0935, 0936, and 0937 with respect to these various grants. And unless anybody offer public testimony, if there anyone wishing to offer public testimony, may do so now or forever hold your peace. Seeing and hearing no desire for public testimony. I want to let folks know that also this will be recorded. It's also being live streamed at boston.gov/city-council-tv and will be broadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, FiOS Channel 964. And again, my name is City Councilor at Large Michael Flaherty, Chair of the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee, and the committee on these various documents is adjourned. Thank you.